Beating Forge FC in Hamilton for the first time. You guys have done it all year. Atlético Ottawa, CPL Final bound. Manny, what a game. Just tell me what you guys had to do to come from a goal down to win this one.
Yeah, it's huge. Like you said, we hadn't done it here or this season yet, at least to them. And we knew we had to come and play 90 plus, whatever it was. You can never come here and play 75, 80 minutes because they'll punish you. So honestly, kudos to everyone. We grinded it out. We got our chances up front. We defended well. We were a group today, and I'm very proud of the guys.
Absolutely. This is a team that's had to come from behind a few teams. I think you guys had more points from losing positions than anybody in the CPL. Kind of what was the mindset at that point when you fall behind in the first half? And, I guess did you really change anything after that?
No, not really. We know the quality we have on the ball. We know what we bring to the table. We also know that the goal, we kind of had a little bit of
MVP!
a little bit of a miscommunication there with when it bounced and stuff. So we know what we have. We kind of grinded back in. We got back to the basics that we're working until that goal. And luckily we were able to find two ourselves.
The second goal you guys scored, obviously you're part of it. It feels like kind of a classic Manny Aparicio play, right? To kind of pick a ball off of Kyle Becker and just not quit on it. Just maybe talk to me a little bit about what was going through your mind at that point and what you had to do to get the ball across the Sam.
Yeah, like you said, I've been in those situations before where I kind of, kick it to the end line and just clip it. And I know, how hot Sam is this year. So I know that if I put it in there, he'll be somewhere on it. And again, it's not an easy header because it's a bit of a slow ball, and he does well with it. So honestly, that's Sam. That's Sam this year. He's found his touch this year, and I hope it carries him forward into this final and then into his future because he's been on fire this year. It's crazy.
So just last one for you, Manny. You've played in a CPL final before, I believe, here on this pitch. How excited are you to play one at home in Ottawa?
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. You see these guys here going crazy. We're going to have a packed house at TD. Like you said, I've played it before here, and it was amazing, and hopefully we can bring it home this year.
Absolutely. Again, Atlético Ottawa beat Forge 2-1 here at Hamilton Stadium to secure the right to host the CPL final on November 9th. Manny, thank you.
Thank you.
What a performance from that guy, and what a performance from Atlético Ottawa in general. As I just said, Atlético Ottawa beat Forge FC 2-1 in the championship semifinal in the 2025 CPL playoffs. And the CPL final this year, Sunday, November 9th, TD Place in the capital. Atlético Ottawa will host it. We don't know who they'll play yet, but what a day that was yesterday on Sunday. This is the CPL Newsroom presented by Volkswagen. Charlie O'Connor-Clark along with Mitchell Tierney and Alex Gange-Ruzik, who are going to join me today to wrap up a pretty incredible first weekend of the playoffs. Mitchell, we're going to start with Atlético Ottawa, who, hadn't beaten Forge at all this year. They'd played them 4 times. The last time they'd been in Hamilton, they were, I think, quite fairly played off the pitch in a pretty dominant performance from the eventual CPL Shield winners. But as they've been doing all year, Ottawa fight from a goal behind. They led the league with 17 points from losing positions this year, including Sunday's game. They're now 5-5-2 when falling behind in a CPL game this year, which is pretty remarkable. And to do it on the biggest stage, shout out to Gabriel Antinuro with one of the best goals we've seen in the playoffs in a while. Sam Salter, as always, he's pretty much automatic at this point. But Mitch, you have some context for us on just how unusual it was for Atlético Ottawa to get the job done in the manner they did in Hamilton.
Not just unusual, but unique. This was the first time ever that a team had come from behind to beat Forge in Hamilton. In fact, in 58 home games where Forge have taken a lead at Hamilton Stadium, they had only coughed up that lead 5 times, and all 5 of those have been draws. So this was historic from Atlético Ottawa to go further. Christian Jack last night on match night brought up the fact that in CPL history, Forge are 114, 14, and 2 in matches in which they led. So they've only lost twice. This was just the 3rd time where a team had come from behind to beat them. It just doesn't happen. So that adds all the more impressiveness to Atlético Ottawa and what they were able to accomplish on Sunday. And of course, this is something where we wanted to see how this Atlético Ottawa team dealt with pressure, and it doesn't get more pressure filled than going behind at Hamilton Stadium to Forge. So the fact that they were able to come back the way they did was immensely impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to break down the game more specifically in a second, but just to bring AGR in here for a sec, we've been watching Atlético Ottawa all year. what has impressed you kind of about the way they've approached the playoffs? They're obviously a very confident team. They've spoken, their coach Diego Mejia has spoken very highly of his players about their opportunity to do something special. Are you surprised that they've saved a performance like this for the biggest stage in Hamilton?
I wouldn't say surprised. No, I think this has been a while coming, and I think for Ottawa it will be a bit bittersweet because there may be moments in the last few weeks where you wanted to see a performance like this with how there were chances left on the table for them to pass Forge and get their hands on a regular season trophy. I guess you can't complain from an Ottawa perspective that they choose this game to bring it all out, because this was like an Ottawa performance. I think that's what's encouraging. Like, you look at both goals, it stands out that the first goal's from a wingback who's really stepped up and been such an unsung hero for them. Like, Gabriel Antinuro, to go from a guy who didn't really know his place in this team as, was he a 10? Is he a winger? Where does he fit? Now Diego Mejia has seen him and turned him into a wingback, and turns out with his pace and his work rate, that's been a perfect fit. And then you look at the second goal too. That's a pretty good Atlético Ottawa goal, because it comes from a midfielder in Manny Aparicio, who he has to do so much on this team. But funnily enough, I don't think you'd ask any other player to do what he does, because that's always been his thing. He's such an energizer bunny. He'll give you a tackle in your box, and he'll give you a late run for a cutback like he did. And then, of course, Sam Salter at the spear of it, benefiting as he has all season. Right place, right time, quality finish. Like, I like that Ottawa, they stuck to their guns in the biggest games, because I think that was kind of a criticism. And, Bobby Smirnotis almost hinted at it in his pregame comments, like, well, Ottawa, they've played one way, Forge have played different ways. Can Ottawa, take what they've done and match Forge? And turns out they were able to do that and then some in a big win.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, Ottawa have largely been a similar team in the way they've played most of this year, but this is kind of what Diego Mejia has said repeatedly. He said, when you have a game plan and an identity in mind, if you stick to it, then that's the best thing you can do. And even when you fall behind, that's what he said again. Like, if you have this full understanding of what you want to be and what you want to do, then it doesn't matter what's going on in the rest of the game or what the other team is doing. You just have to stick to it. And that's what they did. Now I want to get to something, from the pre-match press conferences, because Nathan Ingham kind of called their shot here. It's not very common for a player to kind of give you as much specific information about their game plan as Ingham did. We asked him kind of what some of the keys are to beating Forge FC, considering that they hadn't yet done it this year. They'd been close, but they hadn't got over that line. And Ingham kind of named a few specific Forge players and what they had to do to them. So I want to hear what he had to say, and maybe we can just go piece by piece and decide if they succeeded in those ways. So here's what Ingham said before the game.
I don't know. We play each other so much. You know everything about them. You know their threats. Keep Borges off his left foot. Don't give Babuli space. We manage Brian's runs over the top. Don't let Becker get his head up. Get the ball over the top, make Nimick and Ashley Johnson face their own goal, put them in difficult situations, let Sam bully them and hold it up. We know each other really well.
All right, so we're gonna go line by line here, and you guys feel free to jump in if you find anything wrong or anything in particular to bring up. But keep Borges off his left foot. I'd say check. Borges had no shots in this game. He had just 16 passes. He created a chance, but really, really difficult for Forge to get him involved in this game, and he came off in the 70th minute. Don't give Babuli space. We'll maybe call this one a wash because he only played the last 20 minutes. He didn't start. However, Babuli only touched the ball, I think, 6 times, 2 for 5 on passes. He didn't even contest a duel in this game. So, maybe, again, not the impact off the bench that Forge wanted him to have. Manage Brian Wright's runs over the top. Again, that's something he's trying all game, but no shots for Brian Wright in this game. And again, a player that they struggled to get the ball to. Just 6 passes from Wright as well in this game, 15 touches. Don't let Becker get his head up. This one's kind of harder to specifically gauge, I think. He had a couple of great long balls, but he also had a couple of giveaways in this game. One chance created. Again, I don't think that you'd say that Becker was able to maybe spray the ball across the pitch the way that he likes to. He did not have much space in this game because Manny Aparicio was standing on him a lot of the game. And unfortunately for Kyle, it is it is the pass that Cloutier picks off before the Antinuro goal, and it's kind of an unlucky deflection off him for Aparicio to chase down ahead of the Salter goal as well. Two more here, and they're kind of in the same breath from Nathan Ingham. Make Nimick and Janssen face their own goal. And if you look at the replays of both goals, at least Janssen is, I think, on both. And part of it is just Ottawa getting those pacey runs up the flank, up the middle. Antinuro did that, Aparicio did that, and they're chasing. They're not set. The defenders aren't set and backing off and keeping Ottawa where they want them. They're chasing because of the pace, and that makes it much more difficult to defend. And finally, let Salter bully them and hold up the ball. Sam Salter, incredible performance for me. Won 12 duels. He made 2 tackles. He won 6 out of 7 of his aerials. He was dropping very deep into midfield quite a lot. He did a lot to kind of stand on, Hajaberpour in particular, actually, maybe more so than the center backs. Just a very, very kind of all-around hardworking defensive performance from Sam Salter. So, he's rewarded with the goal, which is great. But I think a lot of what made him so effective in this game was the defensive work. Mitch, do you think that Nate kind of got it spot on here? They kind of did do all of the things they needed to do and then some on their own side. They limited Forge and then did what Ottawa would do on their own part.
I think he absolutely did. And I mean, it's a fair point that at this stage of the season, like, you're probably not going to come up with a big tactical surprise. And to some extent, if you do, it's probably to your own detriment. Like we've seen a lot of times in CPL playoffs or throughout the CPL season, like managers kind of overthink, here's what we need to do kind of thing to throw the other team off. And it ends up kind of backfiring. They played exactly their way. But with those smart, sharp details of taking into account, okay, here's where the other team's strengths are. Here's what we need to do within our system, within our model, as Diego Mejia likes to call it, to, nullify some of that. And then that will give us the best platform to go on and use our strengths and hurt them. And I thought that was perfectly executed. I mean, just a great overall game plan and performance by Atlético Ottawa. And, clearly they weren't shy about telling everyone what they were planning to do because they were that confident they could go out and execute it on the day.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can tell the other team what you're going to do, and if it's good enough, then it'll still work. And I think that's what happened. We'll wrap up very quickly here with Forge before we move on to the other game. And we will be talking about Forge more later in the show because obviously they do have to play that contender semifinal next Sunday against Cavalry. But Bobby Smirniotis felt that Forge were certainly good enough to win this game. And he pointed out that they sometimes haven't been good enough in games and they've still won this year. So for them to be good enough and not, elephant in the room obviously being a couple of very controversial moments and refereeing decisions. It looked like, I think, probably 2 potential handballs in the box where, Forge didn't get the penalty kick. There was kind of the foul in the 97th, 98th minute as well, which Smirniotis pointed out on Nana Mpoma. So he didn't get the decisions that way, but he did also concede that, they weren't quite sharp enough when they did have their moments in the attacking third. But Bobby Smirniotis never one to be too phased by an individual game, nor to shy away from his team's talent. Here's what he had to say about his team's performance and the road ahead of them after the game.
We've lost the game. Like I said, no trophies being lifted, and you keep on going. This is the best team in the CPL this year, and I'm talking about Forge. That's simple. Statistics show it. You lost one game to Ottawa. Okay. And we move on. We've got to win another game. And we have to win another game after that. Nothing's guaranteed in sports, guys. You come out of these games and you're going to win and you're going to lose. All right. And we're used to winning a lot, and sometimes you're going to lose. So you keep on moving. You got to know that you have to be a little bit better in these games. But I also say that we did enough to win this game. Right. Credit to Ottawa. They defended hard. They defended well in the end, and we couldn't come up with that next one. And sometimes when you're a click better, maybe you'll get that call. Right. And that's how football is.
Certainly is. AGR, very quickly on Forge to wrap this up. Cause for concern in this game. I mean, they went through this path last year as well, lost this championship semifinal. What's your kind of immediate takeaway on them after that?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they weren't able to hold on the lead is a bit of a concern because that's obviously been a strength of theirs historically, not just this season. Otherwise, you wonder about the hunger in this group, and that's something that when you've won as much as Forge, you've had a long, grueling season. they weren't able to maybe match the energy of Atlético Ottawa as much. So it'll be interesting to see what they do against this Cavalry side. We'll talk more a bit about that in a bit. That obviously Cavalry is really feeling motivated. Can Forge get up and match them? Because that's, I guess, the tough part about coming right into this 1v2 game right after winning a trophy. It feels like you have such a high, such a good moment, and then you're dropped right back into the fire against a team that's pretty pissed that they didn't beat you. And maybe that's why 3 years in a row we've seen the second place team win that match. But it's okay. How can you bounce back? Are we going to see a third straight year of that first place team then rebounding? Because Forge have looked a little tired at times over the last few weeks. They recovered against York, but then they look just not quite themselves in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Anyway, we will wrap up this segment here on this game and move on to the other match from Sunday night. But before we leave, I also caught up with Gabriel Antinuro after his wonderful goal and an excellent performance for Atlético Ottawa on the pitch after the game, and here's what he had to say. Joined by Gabriel Antinuro as Atlético Ottawa are CPL final bound. What a game that was. You hadn't beat Forge all year. You finally do it here in Hamilton. Just how exciting is it to win this game, and what did you have to do to get there?
I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. To be honest, I dream to be able to play a final. I think we deserve it. I think the fans deserve it. And it's almost like a movie. We come here, we tie a game, we lose a game. And the game that really, really matters, we come and we win it. But it's not done. We know we're very happy that the work we did today, but we know we got to go back to Ottawa and take the trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, a couple heroic moments from yourself today. You guys fall behind in the first half, and just 10 minutes later, you kind of do it yourself. Maybe walk us through that goal. Kind of at what point you decide you're just going to go the whole way and shoot on your own?
Honestly, it's a mindset. Something switched with me this year. The new coach coming in, he gave me the confidence, he gave me the trust, he allows me to make mistakes. So it's just one of those. You don't really think about it, you get the ball and you feel like you have space, you feel like you can make a difference, and I'm very grateful that it worked out.
Yeah, just tell me a little bit about being with this team this year. Obviously, you've been at this club for a couple of years, but this group feels special. What's made it so special?
Honestly, from the beginning, we have our leaders that help everyone, and the young players, we don't really act like young players. We're here, we want them to win, we try to play mature, and also we got to give a lot of credit to the coaching staff. They came in, they didn't see age, they saw performance, and they saw trust. They're giving us trust every day, and it's just a confident team that wants to run for each other, wants to play for each other. At the end of the day, it's not really a team, it's a family, and I think that you can see that on the pitch.
Just lastly, you mentioned the job's not done. 2 weeks from now, you guys will play the CPL final on November 9th at TD Place. For the second time in club history, just how exciting is that idea?
It's amazing. I wasn't here on the first year. I joined the year after, but I think it's just a reward for those beautiful fans that did 6 hours to come watch us, being supporting us all year. I think it's about time they get rewarded for something, and we're gonna give them a final at home. And if God wants, if we do our job, we will be able to take the trophy.
Sunday, November 9th in Ottawa at TD Place. Atlético Ottawa don't know who they're playing yet, but they know that they'll be hosting the CPL final.